Welcome back, Nation of Glory, the home where passion meets glory, where every story is told with heart, and where every legend is born again through the power of words, emotions, and the journey of greatness. Today, ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves for a story that will take you across countries, across emotions, across the rise, the fall, and the rebirth of a man who chased a dream far bigger than anyone believed he could hold. A man who transformed from a small-town German kid into an international force of charisma and dominance. A man who became a symbol, both masked and unmasked, of resilience, ambition, and the unbreakable fire within. Today, we bring you the incredible, cinematic journey of the man the world came to know as Marcel Barthel, and the mysterious luchador El Grande Americano, the leader of Los Americanos in AAA and a magnetic force on WWE's Raw brand. So sit back, relax, and let the story unfold like a Hollywood epic built for your imagination. A story of identity, of legacy, of pressure, of dreams, and of the unexpected turns that make heroes unforgettable. Marcel Barthel's story begins far from the crowded arenas of America, far from the pyrotechnics, the roaring chants, and the bright lights. It begins in a quiet German town, where ambition wasn't handed out, it had to be carved, fought for, and protected like a treasure. Marcel was born into a world where discipline held more value than applause, where strength came not from spotlight fame but from hard work done in silence. His father, a hard worker and a lover of old European wrestling traditions, taught him that glory isn't something earned by shortcuts, it's something paid for in sweat, pain, and sacrifice. As a boy, Marcel felt different. Not strange, but different in the way people feel when they're destined for something more than the world around them. While others dreamed small, he dreamed big. While others felt satisfied with good enough, he wanted extraordinary. He watched wrestling with his father not just as a spectacle but as a calling, as if every suplex was tugging on his heart, every entrance theme whispering his name. And deep inside, he believed that one day he would walk down a ramp too, not as a fan, not as a dreamer, but as someone who belonged there. He was never the biggest kid, not the strongest at first, but he was the one who refused to quit. He trained in rain, in snow, in empty little gyms that smelled like iron and old sweat. He trained when he was sick, when he was exhausted, when life tried to distract him with fear and doubt. Because Marcel knew something most people never learn, your dream doesn't owe you anything. You owe it everything. And he gave everything. His teenage years were marked by relentless commitment. While friends went to parties, he went to training camps. While classmates talked about jobs and safe futures, he talked about ring ropes, footwork, psychology, and legacy. It wasn't long before his community realized Marcel wasn't chasing a fantasy, he was shaping a destiny. He began wrestling in small European promotions, performing in front of crowds that sometimes barely filled a room. But Marcel treated every match like it was WrestleMania itself. He arrived early, left last, listened, learned, improved. He wasn't the loudest in the locker room, but he was the most disciplined. Every loss made him smarter. Every win made him hungrier. He understood something precious. You don't climb by skipping steps, you climb by mastering each one. But the world isn't kind to dreamers at first. Marcel faced injury, criticism, betrayal, and heartbreak. Promotions overlooked him. Wrestlers doubted him. Coaches questioned if he had the spark. Some said he wasn't flashy enough, others said his intensity was too intimidating. But Marcel only grew stronger. Pressure did not break him, it refined him. One night, after a grueling match that left his back bruised and his spirit tested, Marcel stood alone in a locker room staring into a cracked mirror. The fluorescent light flickered above him, humming like a heartbeat. His reflection felt split, one part determined, the other unsure. He whispered to himself, if this is truly my path, I will walk it all the way. It was a promise to his future self, a vow that would change everything. And fate listened. Word spread across borders. Promotions in America, Japan, and Mexico started noticing the disciplined German fighter with an old-school presence and a ruthless precision inside the ring. He had a style that felt both classic and dangerous, elegant and unforgiving. And then, the call came. WWE. The moment he stepped onto American soil, Marcel knew he had entered the bigger battlefield. WWE was the land where giants collided, where legends were forged or forgotten. But Marcel didn't shrink, he rose. He adapted, molded, evolved. In NXT, he built a reputation not just as a competitor but as an architect of excellence. Fans saw something unique. There was artistry in his aggression, intelligence in his pacing, purpose in his every movement. But destiny wasn't done surprising him. It was during his early WWE years that a massive opportunity emerged, one that would take him across the world and into the world of Lucha Libre, where color, chaos, passion, and tradition flare in every match. AAA in Mexico offered him something he didn't expect, the chance to reinvent himself, not as Marcel Barthel, but as someone no one could anticipate. A masked luchador whose presence would shock crowds and create legends. Thus was born El Grande Americano. It started as an idea, then a costume, red, white, gold, dazzling yet respectful. But the mask was more than fabric. It became a symbol. It allowed Marcel to explore a different personality, flashier, bolder, unpredictable. Under the mask, he could fly higher, fight wilder, express emotions louder than the stoic German warrior fans knew on Raw. But the beauty was this: Marcel didn't become someone else. He simply became more of himself, fearless, limitless, liberated. And when El Grande Americano debuted in AAA, the crowd erupted with instant love and shock. No one expected a masked luchador with such elegance. He combined European precision with Mexican explosiveness. He moved like a story unfolding in midair. And as he climbed the ranks, something even more powerful happened: he became a leader. Los Americanos, a faction built not on geography but on unity, ambition, and spectacle. They were warriors of spirit, champions of style, and soldiers of the ring. Under El Grande Americano's leadership, Los Americanos became one of the most talked about stables in AAA, part chaos, part strategy, part poetry and violence. Fans adored them, critics praised them, and Marcel felt a pride like never before. But every mask holds a hidden truth. The more his alter ego grew popular, the more Marcel struggled internally. Was he the German technician the world first met? Or the masked icon adored across Mexico? Or both? Or neither? The pressure of being two personas stretched him, challenged him, sometimes exhausted him. But instead of letting the weight crush him, Marcel used it to redefine himself. Because that is what true greatness does: it transforms challenges into strengths. While juggling his WWE Raw commitments and his AAA persona, Marcel learned to balance two worlds without losing his authenticity. Raw saw a man with burning intensity, sharp discipline, and unmatched ring IQ. AAA saw a performer with flair, charisma, and fearless innovation. In both worlds, he was a leader, one by example, one by energy. And fans loved him for it. But let me take you deeper into a chapter that felt like a Hollywood emotional arc. There came a moment where Marcel questioned everything. A moment where injuries piled, expectations crushed, and the media talked endlessly about whether he was spreading himself too thin. It was a moment when even his closest allies didn't know if he would step back, remove the mask, or disappear for a while. But Marcel remembered that cracked mirror. That promise. That vow. If this is truly my path, I will walk it all the way. He rose again. He trained harder. He rebuilt Los Americanos stronger. He returned to Raw with a sharper edge. His promos grew more intense. His presence, more commanding. He embraced both worlds not as a burden, but as a privilege, a chance to inspire wrestlers globally that you can honor tradition and still embrace reinvention. You can be disciplined and still be daring. You can be one man and still carry multiple legacies. That duality became his superpower. And today, Marcel Barthel stands not as a wrestler chained by expectation, but as a performer liberated by evolution. He is a German warrior with lucha soul. A Raw competitor with AAA heart. A leader of Los Americanos with fans across Germany, Mexico, America, and beyond. But what truly makes Marcel's story extraordinary is not just his championships, his factions, or his personas. It is the emotional connection he built with the people who follow him. When a child puts on a mask and calls themselves El Grande Americano, when a young wrestler in Europe practices disciplined footwork because Marcel inspired them, when a fan in Mexico paints their face in Los Americanos colors to cheer for their hero, that is legacy. Marcel Barthel didn't chase fame. He chased excellence. And in doing so, he found something far richer: impact, influence, immortality in the hearts of those he inspired. So as this story nears its close, I want you to imagine this final scene like a Hollywood fade out. A locker room, a mask hanging on one hook, a pair of wrestling boots sitting on the floor. Marcel Barthel sits quietly on a bench, wrapping his wrists, breathing in slowly, grounding himself for another night under the lights. He looks at the mask, but he doesn't question who he is anymore. Because he knows. He is both. He is whole. He is the legacy he built. He stands up. He puts on the mask, not to hide, but to reveal. He walks toward the curtain as the crowd roars his name, both names, both identities. And he steps forward, ready for another chapter, another fight, another unforgettable moment. And that, Nation of Glory, is the cinematic, emotional, powerful story of a man who taught the world that greatness does not come from choosing who you should be. Greatness comes from embracing everything you already are. Thank you for staying till the very end of this epic journey. If you enjoyed this story, make sure you smash that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to Nation of Glory for more powerful stories, more cinematic journeys, and more legends brought to life. Thank you, stay glorious, and see you in the next video.